Hello everyone, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today I'm here with Sunny Studio Stamps. I've got a guest post up today featuring some of their really cute new stamps, and I'm going to be showing you how to create an outdoor scene. I'm going to be using today the Backyard Bugs stamp set and the Sunny Sentiments set. I really love both of these sets because they are perfect for pairing together to create a lot of really fun and cute scenes, but you could also use them to create other cards as well. So I'm going to be using a variety of images here from both sets to create my card. I ended up stamping a bunch of the images onto some white cardstock. As you can see here, I'm using my Misty stamping tool and some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. Now I stamped a bunch more images than I needed in the card. When I was creating the scene, I wanted to have a bunch of images at hand so that way I could play around with how I wanted this placement and everything. So I ended up not using everything, but I'll save all of these extra pieces that I didn't use for another card at a future point. So I'll go ahead and stamp all those down, and as you can see, I've stamped a few of each. And I colored them all in with my Copic markers, and I'm not showing the coloring here because it was very simple coloring, and I'll have all the colors that I used listed in my blog post. So to create the rest of my card, I'm going to go ahead and start by creating my panel that my scene is going to be sitting on. So I've got a piece of cardstock here. This is cut to slightly smaller than an A2 sized card. And I've got some stitching dies from My Favorite Things. These are the basic stitch line dies, and I'm going to be using this one double stitch line die to create an edge around all sides of my card panel. You could use rectangle stitching dies or whatever shape you want for your card base, but I wanted to have the double stitch lines and I didn't have a die that was a full rectangle that cut that, so I just used these border dies instead. After I did that, I'm going to go ahead and take another piece of cardstock and die cut some grass. I'm using some Grassy Hill dies from My Favorite Things. I'm going to go ahead and put those down, and then I'll go ahead and run those through my die cutting machine. I'm going to be doing some ink blending with these, so I'm going to have a couple of them, and I'm just using some plain white cardstock. Here's the ink blending. I'm going to be using some Hero Arts Bold inks. I really love these inks. They're brand new to Hero Arts, and I love the rich, vibrant colors of these bold inks. The bold inks are really fun in that they're a hybrid ink, so which means they have the intensity of a pigment ink, but they work like a dye ink. So that makes them really versatile and really fun to use in your crafting. So I'm using some Summer Sky here, and I'm also going to use a little bit of Aquatic. I really love these two blues together. They're really nice. And I'm just using some mini ink blending tools to go ahead and apply this down. For the grass, I'm going to use some green apple, and I'm also going to add in a little bit of the moss color as well to add a little bit of a darker green. I'm being careful to keep all of the darker greens along the bottom portion of this grass, and I'm keeping the top part quite a bit lighter. To put my grass strips down, I'm just using some regular adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and lay those down across the bottom of the card. I'll go ahead and layer these up on top of each other. I'm not using any foam tape, but you could do that if you wanted to go ahead and add some foam tape to give these more dimension. And now I'm going to go ahead and take these cloud dies that I've die cut from just some white cardstock. These are from the Lawn Fawn Puffy Cloud, the border dies. And I just cut these out of some white cardstock and some vellum. I didn't show that part, but it's pretty simple and it was just like I was cutting the grass. So I've just cut those down. Now, after I've layered everything up, I'm going to go ahead and take those stitch border dies that I used previously, and I'm going to line them back up along the stitching lines across the sky. This is going to lock into place because once you line those dies back up where they were before, they lock into place and you can feel that as you put them down. I'm going to run that through so that way when I remove the die, it will create that same stitching line continuously across the entire card. You could skip this step, but I really like the finishing touch that it gives to this card. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the three sides that have extra layers on top of them. Alright, so now I'm putting my scene together. I've got all my little colored images here, and I'm popping them up with some foam tape in spots, and then in other places I'm just using some regular adhesive. Depends on which image it is. I'm just going to go ahead and keep layering those up until I have the scene all clustered together. I really love making scenes like this. Creating an outdoor scene is really fun because you can use a variety of different images, and I love creating grass and sky, and it's really fun to create realistic scenes, and I'm going to show you a couple tips on creating some texture. Here I've got my Copic markers, and I'm adding some grass blades to this grass. Now you could leave the grass flat like it was, but I really think it really adds a nice bit of extra texture and realisticness to your card when you add these extra little details. So I'm going to go ahead and add some grass blades using a variety of greens. I've got the colors listed on the side of the screen here. But I just used some colors that matched with the color scheme that I've got going here. And I'm going to go ahead and start flicking colors on. I'm using a flicking motion. Basically, I'm using my tip of the marker and flicking it up towards the top. You could go ahead and turn it the other direction and flick towards you, whatever way flicking is easier for you. So here I've got my little snail, and I'm going to adhere some of these little flowers around. Really, really cute, and I just love how this bright colors and everything match together and really create a fun spring-like scene for my card. Alright, so now I forgot I wanted to add a sentiment. So I'm using this little sentiment here, and it says a little snail mail. I just love how cute that is. I'm stamping this in some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. Sorry about my head, I was trying to see over top of the stamp and make sure everything was all lined up. So I just stamped that down on top, and thankfully nothing was too dimensional that I couldn't go ahead and do that. And now I'm just adding a few extra details with some white gel pen and also some Wink of Stella Clear glitter. Really love adding details like this. It really adds some dimension and interest to your coloring. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and take some glossy accents and apply that on top of some of the portions of these images, like the snail's shell and his eyes, and also the mushrooms. Really adds a nice bit of dimension. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to stop over at my blog where you can get more information on this card, including still pictures and products used. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And here's another card you might be interested in featuring building scenes. Be sure to connect with me on social media. You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and also on my blog. Thanks again for stopping by and spending some time with me, and I'll see you again in the next video.